Hey friend, welcome back to the Life and Leadership Podcast. I am so glad that you're here. We are building such an empowering global community together. And it truly means the world when you share these episodes with your friends and community. And if you're posting on socials, be sure to tag me at Christine Caine and at Propel Women. I really love seeing what's encouraging you and how God is speaking to you through these conversations. Now, today's episode is going to be incredible. I am so excited to be joined by my friend, Michelle Mayorquin. Michelle is a wife and mother of 5 and pastors La Roca Church alongside her husband. She also leads Aurora, a global women's ministry. And together, let me just say, when this Latino woman and this Greek woman get together, there's a lot of food involved, I'll tell you that much. She is a powerhouse leader with such heart for women, and she's got such a great, inspiring faith, and she's just phenomenal. We're going to learn a lot about family from her today, so I cannot wait for you to hear from her. Okay, my friend, I am so glad that you've joined me today. How are you?
I'm super happy to be here with you. I'm excited. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You know, I love you. You look nice and bright. You look beautiful over there.
Thank you.
Which is great. Okay, so we've become friends over the last few years. I laugh because I call you all like the South American mafia. You're all of my friends. And I say that tongue in cheek, please, everyone. I'm joking. Okay, so, but, you know, tell me a little bit because you guys are pastoring a church. Every time I see you, you have like 100 new locations. I can't even keep up with you. Like, tell me a little bit just about your story and how you even sort of got into pastoring, planting churches, just everything.
Of course, yes. Well, I got saved in the youth group to start off, and the pastor of the youth, the youth pastor was my boyfriend, pretty much.
Okay, everyone.
So I got let's start there. I got saved in the youth group, so I had no idea I was going to marry a pastor.
Yes.
And so, but God called my husband to pastor La Roca. It started with 2 families in San Isidro and San Diego. And it just started growing and growing and growing. We started La Roca in San Diego.
Wow.
And then from there, it grew into Mexico, Tijuana. And now we have 12 campuses. And so we're in Arizona, Miami, Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta, LA now as well. And so we're just growing and just love doing it.
I love even hearing you speak. I'm like, in heaven, we are going to be speaking Spanish. There is no doubt about it. It's just the language of heaven. But how has that been for you? Like when you were growing up, did you think you would be in full-time ministry? Did you think you would be pastoring? What did you think?
No, not at all. Not at all. So I grew up Catholic, and I always loved God. I've always been, go to church on Sundays and so on. But my brother was the first one to get saved in our family.
Wow.
And he started to go to a Christian church, into a youth group. And he was so excited that he ran home and told us about it. So then I started going to the youth group. I found God there. I found purpose there. My life changed completely. I definitely needed God. And so I saw life
what did
differently.
your parents think at this point?
So when my brother came over to the house, he sat down with them and told them, Mom, Dad, and we're so thankful for what for how you showed us about God. You guys took us to church on Sundays, and we're thankful for that. But Dad, Mom, we went to a youth group. It's a Christian church, and it's not weird. It's not weird, but it's a place where we feel like we don't just know about God, but it's like we found a relationship with Him, and we're excited, and we want you to come and see what it's all about. And so they actually came. They wanted to see where we were going.
Of course,
and so they came along, and they actually loved it as well, and they came and they stayed there as well. So I had no idea. I was 16 and a half when I started going to a youth group. And actually my husband and I, we were, he was just a youth pastor there. He was, we didn't start dating until about 2 years later, until I was about 18 years old, okay? And so I had no idea. We dated for about 1 year. I was very new in the things of the Lord. I loved God. I was passionate about Him. But God called him to ministry, and he broke up with me for 3 years.
I remember you telling me this story. I said to him, "You are a mean man." Yes, go on.
He did, and it was the best thing. I mean, in that moment, I felt I was devastated because I loved him so much, but it was actually the best thing that could have happened because I think that it was important for him to be out of the picture and for me to find God, directly and spend time with God and get to know what God wanted to do in my life. And God brought him back into my life about 3 years after that. And we got married when I was 23 years old. And the church was already going. We had about like 600 people there in La Roca already.
Wow.
And so, And so then when I came into church, I told my husband, you know what? I don't know. I don't think I'm a pastor, but I can serve in the church. I can help wherever you want me to help. And
And then what happened? How did you grow into that?
Okay, so then I love God and I wanted to serve anywhere. It didn't matter with kids, just anywhere.
Yeah.
And I told him, just don't ever put me to share. I'm here to support you. I married you and I love you and I love God and I'll, walk with you wherever you have to walk. And so people were pressuring me a little bit and like, wait, you're the pastor's wife. You have to share. You have to open your mouth. We're going to see you up there. It's your place and so on. There was a woman there that was amazing, that she was working with the women's ministry. And when we got married, she actually came to me and said, okay, I'm so glad you guys got married now because here's the women's ministry. You take over this. And I'm like, no, you're not going anywhere. You're staying right there. And I'm going to help you and whatever you need, but I'm not ready for that. And so I think that in that time, I was just I was new, marriage, and I never left my house. I left my house married with my husband. And so I wanted to have kids first. I wanted to get to know God more. And so I feel like it was a time where I told Lord, I don't know what you have in store for me, but I want to make sure it's in the right time.
Yeah. And
I don't want to put pressure on myself, to speak when I don't feel ready for it. And so trust me, God prepared me for it. And so I was, we did church together. So what happened was, I had one child. Her name is Hannah, my first daughter. And then I had a daughter named Alessandra. And then I got pregnant with my third pregnancy. And that's Abriana. Yes. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, Abriana, that's where my life completely changed. Right. So it was an unexpected thing. The doctors told me that she was coming with issues. She had a really rare chromosome abnormality. Right. It did take me by surprise 100%. And so when I was pregnant with her, they said that I had to have an abortion, that I, shouldn't have, because there's not a child with her situation that would survive. Right. And that she would, die when I was pregnant. So I said, there's no way. I'm not going to have an abortion. I'm going to have her. She's kicking. I can see her heart beating. And I know that God has something in store for her. So I'm going to believe God for her life. Yeah. And so she was born 9 months. She was a normal pregnancy. When she was born, they told me she had 4 hours to live. Wow. And she lived 11 years. So pretty much, I think that's really where my life began with, connecting with God for real. Because before that, I was telling you that I told my husband I would serve in church wherever he wanted me to church, and I would be there. And I think that I love God, and I got to know God, but wasn't depending from God for real. Because I came from a home where my mom and dad were together. My brother was, everything was fine. Never saw sickness or anything like that. So I think that when I faced this in my pregnancy was where I said, you know what, now it's my time to walk with God. It's not just about knowing him and studying his word, but now is where I have to depend from him. Totally. And I connected with him. I started seeking his word, and I told the Lord, I'm not going to focus on the symptoms, what doctors are telling me. I'm going to focus on how you're going to guide me. And I'm going to seek for your promises. I'm going to seek for your strength, for your joy. And so I did that. I see God like never before. And I got so full of God. Wow. And I think that's where I got to know him, and where I felt him for the first time walking with me. I felt his presence in that whole process. And it was amazing, because that's where I was so full of him in the hardest time of my life. Wow. Where I wanted to share that with everybody. So it's not like no longer was I feeling pressure to be speaking up front. It's like I wanted to tell the world about this God that is a God that gives you joy and peace and strength in the midst of circumstances. And that's where I started growing, and I opened a home group for women. Wow. And anyway, yeah, so that's how
to me, there's not a mother listening to this podcast right now that won't want me to ask, okay, how did you navigate? You had your baby girl. She lived for 11 years. How did when you say it changed me, the miracle, 4 hours, they said, 11 years the Lord gave you. Yes. How were you parenting? You had 2 other kids at the time. You had a church. Yes. How did you process all of this, and what did it require from you?
So what I did was like I said, I depended from God like never before. Yeah, so totally. I made sure, first of all, to make sure to spend time in God's presence every single day. I knew that he was the only one that was going to get me through everything. Yeah. There's something that God gave me when I was 19 years old. God gave me a scripture that was so powerful, and it walked, it's been part of my life till today. And he gave me the scripture where it says, a cheerful heart is medicine to your bones, but a broken spirit dries up your bones. Yeah. And it was such a powerful scripture that God said, people will fail you on your left and your right. You're going to live through circumstances. And there's a lot of things will try to rob your joy. Yeah. But if you stick with me in my presence, I'm going to give you a joy that you'll never lose it. You'll always have it in you. And that will be your strength in life. So when I was pregnant with Avri, I remember the scripture and I said, God, you are my fountain of joy. I'm going to connect with you in your presence and you're going to fill me with this joy and this will be medicine to my daughter. And so I think that was important to me because I knew that would be medicine to my marriage.
Yeah.
That would be medicine to my kids as well, because I know we're all going to face, it was going to change us all.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that I did transmit this joy into my family. And so that was, to me, it was important. I needed to spend time in God's presence every day of my life, knowing that he was my source of joy. And so what I did was I focused in that and focused in serving my daughter, Abriana, taking her to the doctor appointments, making sure that I did everything that I could possibly in the natural to help her. And also being there for my other daughters, being a support for my husband. So I did have a home group as well, because I wanted to. I would take my girls to ballet, and so I would make friends with other moms there, and I would invite them to come to the house and started a home group. So then I would serve in the ways that I can, involving my kids, their parent, their friends' parents would come and so on. So that's what I did. And so I just kind of lived life like that, just, with his joy, trying to be the best mom Abriana, could have and my other girls needed. And just, that's it. That's pretty much, that's the answer to it. Just trusting God in that process.
So powerful. But then as it came towards the end, did you know that was happening? How did you navigate that with your kids?
When I was about to have her, I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, sorry, as she was approaching 11, did you know it was coming to the end, or she was going to go home, or what? How did that happen?
Yeah, so for 11 years, we got so used to having her, and just God sustaining her, because every time I would take her to the doctor, to get seen or checked or so on, they would always call her the miracle baby.
Wow.
Because there's not a lot of children there was no children like her that would live, that.
Wow.
So they told me, you know what, she's our rare case. So she's going to have to tell us what she's going to do, because we don't know, we can't tell you what her life is going to look like.
Wow.
So she'll let us know what she's going to do. And so I just got used to loving her. And, she didn't walk, she didn't speak. But she was the most joyful little girl. She laughed through her life. I mean, she laughed and laughed. She went to school. She was the best dressed. She changed so many lives. I think that the teachers loved her. There was a favor and a grace over her life,
Yeah.
And everyone will tell me, Michelle, this little girl is so joyful. She's always laughing all the time out loud, She had a few surgeries, and the doctor would say, I don't even have to give her medicine because she seems so comfortable. She's just laughing and laughing. But it's that joy.
Yep.
It's that supernatural joy
is.
that God gave me. And I feel I was able to transmit that to Abriana. So even in the midst of what she was going through, there was a joy and there was a strength in her spirit. And so I wasn't expecting for her to go.
Wow.
So there was, when she turned 11 years old, I started to feel she was getting a little bit more weaker. I started noticing her getting more sick. And I did feel like, I feel like, because that was the hardest part for me. When she would get a cold or so on, she would get it really bad.
Right, yes.
But she would always bounce back. I would take her to the doctor. But I started to feel like she was getting weaker. And that was making me very sad, because, because in the midst of her circumstances, she was always joyful. But when, I started noticing a little more, more darker circles around her eyes. And I just started, is this happening? Is it really happening? But I didn't want to believe it. I was still not believing that it was the end of it. So it was an unexpected. It was, so this is amazing. But, I had 4 girls before I was 29 years old.
Wow.
And so 4 girls. Yeah. So I didn't want to have any more kids. I was so done. I was like, I already have 4 kids. I'm happy.
Totally.
It's just, I was fine. But I became pregnant. I was 37 years old. So it was, obviously God planned this. And so I got pregnant, and this baby is a boy, so my husband is super happy and super excited.
He's so cute. Yes.
Yeah. So when I was 37 weeks pregnant, and that was how far along I was, my daughter just didn't wake up. I was expecting a baby, and it was just one night she just didn't wake up.
Wow.
And it was really difficult. It was a very hard moment for us because, again, it wasn't something that I was expecting to happen. I can tell she was getting weaker, but I was saying, I was taking her to the doctor here. She needs this, she needs that. Let's get her better, and so on. So it was not in my plan. So it was very unexpected. It was very difficult, very traumatic for us. But it's amazing because, when I was pregnant with all my kids, I asked the Lord, God, what's the name that you have for this child? Attract me to the name you have for this baby, And I had a name plan for my son, but God gave me Joseph Emmanuel. Joseph Emmanuel is his name.
Wow.
And so when Abriana passed,
Yes.
the Lord spoke to me and he said, this baby is a baby that I sent, not to be a replacement, because I knew how difficult it was going to be for your family because of the way you loved Abriana.
Yes.
It was her time to be with me. So, but I sent you Joseph as a gift, as someone that would come to, soothe your soul. And his name is Joseph, which means I will add. I'm not taking away, because Abriana is in my presence.
Powerful.
I'm adding to your house. And Emmanuel means, God is with us. So I'm with you in this process. So it was a very hard situation, but it's, people ask me, like, with everything you've learned, because I've learned so much with her in my life, it's I have found purpose in this, and God gave me a story, and it's difficult. And people have asked me, like, would you go through this all over again? I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't want to live this again. I wouldn't want to have my daughter perfect, but
yes.
But it was what I had to face. It was what I lived. Why not me? And so I feel like when God is in your life, he turns it around, and he gives you a story. And my faith grew. So many people that got saved because of Abriana in the hospitals, and psychologists that would come, and therapists, physical therapists, and just, God just did something amazing with her life. And from that story, is when I started serving with the women's ministry in my church. And God gave me the name for our women's ministry, which is called Aurora.
Which means?
Which means the light. It's the light in the midst of darkness, that light. And so and because of Abriana, I've been working in the ministry for 18 years now, and just God's done great things.
Hey friends, can I share something with you? Some of the most transformational moments in my life have happened when the right people have surrounded me. Women who challenged me, encouraged me, and helped me see what God was doing in my life that I couldn't see on my own. So maybe you're feeling stuck in your calling, or God has more for you, but you're not sure how to step into it. You don't have to figure it out alone. That's exactly why we created the Propel Women cohorts. 5 months of coaching, teaching, and community designed to help you step confidently into everything that God has called you to be. You'll get personalized coaching, biblical teaching that applies to real life, and a sisterhood of women who truly understand your journey. We're talking about clarity in your calling, confidence in your identity in Christ, and practical tools to create lasting impact in your sphere of influence. So applications are open right now for our cohorts, but spaces are limited. Don't let another season pass wondering, what if? God has a specific purpose for you, and this could be exactly what you need to step into. So if you click the link in the description to learn more and apply today, I cannot wait to journey with you and watch God do incredible things in and through your life. So let's step forward into the future together. It's as I'm listening to you talk, number one, my mother's heart is like, oh, okay, you're amazing. Yeah. The grace God has given you. But all I hear is a very sweet spirit. You said some things that are profound and theologically profound in just even what you just came out of your heart. But never once have I heard you say, if God was a good God, why would he have done this? You don't seem to have that attitude. You're like, okay, well, why not me? This is what the Lord gave me, and he gave me the grace to be Abriana's mother in this moment. Did you ever feel disappointed with God?
Never.
Wow.
I never did. I made a decision to understand, like, again, it's like I asked, when I was going through this, I went up. I remember the first time when they gave me the diagnosis of it.
Yes.
I was running to my room and trying to go through the pages of the Bible, trying to find something and find something that would, soothe my soul in that moment. And I remember just closing my Bible and saying, I put it on the side and said, God, you know what? I don't know why I'm going through this. This is something that I never thought that I would live. But I know you're going to help me through it. Wow. And I'm not going to tell you why or why me, because why not me? Other moms go through it. Why not me? Wow. So I just pray that you help me through this process, that you give me the strength, the wisdom that I need to be the mom that she needs, and that you'll help me through it, And so I remember even telling this to God, because I believe in prophets, obviously,
Yes, so do
I. I remember telling God, I said, I know I believe in your prophets, but in this time of my life, I just want you to know that I'm connected to you and I'm listening to your voice. I want you to guide me. I don't want to even wait for someone to come and tell me what. I'm listening to you. And you need to guide me through every step of my life, So I think I got closer to him you know, and there was a moment, not always was it perfect, right? There was moments that I would have my weaknesses, but I remember God spoke to me. He said, in the midst of all this, one of the things you have to do, Michelle, is worship me. Worship me. And I thought, okay, worship you. And when he said that, it was because you focus on my greatness and how big I am, and the problem that you're living will look small compared to how big I am. You know, I got you. You know, I'm with you in this process. So I would worship God in this whole time. And there was moments that I did have hard times. There was one moment that I remember telling the Lord, God, I know that you can heal. I know that you have the power to heal Abriana. And I was frustrated. I said, I see birds flying. You know, I see my dog running. I see ants walking. I see all these things. Why can't my daughter walk? You know, and it was a frustrating thing where God, so there was those moments of things that we don't understand, why things don't happen how we want them to happen. But I still would say, but God, you know why. You have the bigger picture of this, and I still trust you. You know, I trust you in the whole process. I've trusted you in my pregnancy with you. I trust you in my whole, when 11 years of my life, I just decided to trust God and everything, and know that He's got us, and there's a purpose in everything.
Totally. So, and how did your other kids navigate this? And when she went to heaven, how did you navigate that as a family?
It was really difficult, especially for my oldest daughter, Hannah, I would say. Hannah definitely was an amazing sister. All the sisters were amazing to her, but Hannah was amazing. Wow. Hannah was there, for her. Every morning she liked to drink a shake in the morning with the bottle. Yeah. And when I would get to her room, Hannah was really there, giving her the bottle, So, they were always, holding her, loving her. And I think, what made us it changed all of us to be more sensitive of what people are going through around,
Totally.
So when it happened, it was really hard to see them go through that. They were upset. I mean, they were crying. I remember we gathered together and, to pray and together. And it was very difficult after she passed. My husband and I, we were pastoring already for quite a while, La Roca San Diego, La Roca Tijuana, the churches were growing.
Right.
But so for a year after she passed away, I think my husband and I were coping differently.
Yes.
I'm more of I connect with God. I would go on the beach walks but I would go to church, but I wanted to come back home. I needed to be alone, grieving alone, connected to God. And my husband's opposite. My husband is like, I want to go serve wherever they invite me and surround me with a lot of friends and lift my arms up, and just, so we were kind of grieving separately, I feel. And even though we have a good marriage, I feel like we needed to reunite. We needed to heal as a family. So for a year, I feel like we were getting a little cold, and I realized my girls were also, going through the process. So my husband said, what, Michelle, I feel that maybe we should take a year off.
Wow.
Take a sabbatical. I feel that we need to go to Florida, and take our family just for a year to regroup together as a family. Yes. And process this together and heal. And so we did. We moved to Florida for a year, and we needed that. It was just us.
Totally.
We didn't know anybody. Totally. We didn't have family. No one. We didn't know anybody there. And my husband and I, we cried together for the first time. We talked about the pain. Yes. My daughters were going through such hard time as well, and we were able to talk to them through the whole process. And so that year changed us. It was so healthy for us to do that. Yes. And it was very interesting because we love God so much, And as He was healing us, we wanted to share with everybody what God can do. And so while we're over there, we started inviting couples in the park, anywhere we grocery store, and say, hey, we're going to start a Bible class, a Bible for marriages in our home. Would you like to come? And so we started to do a home group of marriages and woman groups and so on, because we don't just pastor in San Diego, we pastor wherever God sends us, and we like to share the good news everywhere, You
do.
And so what turned to be 1 year for us to just, heal and get better as a family, we've been there for 6 years now. Yes. Because La Roca also started in Miami. And La Roca has been going for 4 years, really. And it's just something that, again, God just does things that He moves things around for us to reach other people and so on. So just all things work good, work for those that love Him, good for those that love Him, right?
For sure. And I'm so grateful you said that. And I really want people to hear that you definitely did take time out to grieve and to weep and to mourn. And God's grace sustained you. The same grace that kept you all the way through still sustained you. And it's not one or the other. It's both working together. You're very human. But, to me, you've just given us a masterclass on faith and hope-filled grieving and loss and celebration. It's life. It's the reality of life for everyone.
Yes.
But you know what you've endured and your spirit and your joy. I just know there's so many women that are mothers that are listening to this are wondering, like, how is she still normal? And it's the grace of God. At the end of the day, it truly is. But you've also lent into that and done the natural work as well of time to grieve, time to heal, time to all of those things. It's all of the things together. So I'm telling you, your story really will speak hope and faith because so many people have encountered loss and pain and suffering in their life. And yet you and Jose, and that you're full of life and joy, and your family is I mean, if you didn't know, you wouldn't even know, because you're just like so full of joy. Now, tell me about the women's conference, though, because I'm coming and I'm very excited to be coming. We've been trying for years, but it has really exploded. I mean, what do you attribute this to?
God's grace, God's favor. And honestly, it's just God doing it all, you know. And we started in San Diego with little coffee tea time with women.
Yes.
And so it just started growing to now, women's conferences. And we have one in San Diego, we have one in Mexico, one in Miami. Wow. And I just feel like it's just reaching the people, coming, show them what God can do in their lives. And they just go and tell their friends and so on. And just God's favor. We have a great team, honestly, of people that love God, that God has brought to our team. When I started working with a woman, I said, Lord, I'm here, I'm willing, I'm obedient to do what you called me to do, and to raise this ministry woman, but you need to give me the creativity and the people and all the ideas and the resources, everything that I need, and I'll walk with you. And I feel like God has done that. He's brought just an amazing team to La Roca of women that have done a great job, and it's just growing. I mean, in every campus, we're so excited to have you, Christine. You have no idea. It's such a dream for us to have you.
No, listen, it's me. Your faith, and I call you all my mafia friends, the faith of all of you and your people, it builds my faith. That's why I wanted everyone to hear you on the podcast, because I'm like, these people are like real Christians. They're just like on fire. And it brings a great joy to me. Do you think the friendship that you have, like with those other pastors that are faith-filled, that has been good for you guys as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're there to guide us and show us and pray for us and cheer us on. And I think that's important. Like I'll go to, for instance, Carla Hornan, and I've been to her church in Peru, which is amazing. So just being there in that place, in that atmosphere, and, learning from them and their passion of how, God can do anything if only we just walk in faith and just do it and just speak, So just being around them and the way they just, they're just there. They're always telling me, like, Kelly Speaker, and just, God has brought a great group of friends where they're praying for you, they're leading you and saying, you got this, Michelle, you got to speak what, God has put in your heart, encouragement. So definitely they've been very big, much big part of this for us. Yes,
totally.
Absolutely.
And I love how you guys have stayed very focused on lost people. Like that, you're just like, your husband is obsessed with lost people. Is it like, it's just like the whole, like you're in Miami, and I keep asking, I remember sitting down having lunch with you guys, and I'm like, so how do you plant the church, build the church? It's like, well, we just ask people, come, like it's just like, we're not trying to build on someone else's foundation. We're trying to find people that are lost. That would be a high value for your church, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's what we do. I mean, like I was telling you, we call them los cafecitos de mujeres. That's what we call it, It's just it's kind of like where we have coffee together with friends. And so what we do is we pick a topic, something that the women are going through, where they need to grow, and maybe they're going through fear, different things that they're going through. We bring the Bible, obviously, where it helps them, and that's our base, but we try to apply it to everyday living, right? And that's what you do too as well.
Totally.
That's what you do. And so we just invite them, and they come, and they just like the atmosphere where we have, it's a time for friends as well, and they just love it. And so they bring their neighbors, they bring their family, they bring all their mafias.
Exactly, yes.
Their sisters, their cousins, their grandmas, or everybody. And so they just, they come. So we're very disciplined in trying to having those coffee time, 4 times a year in every campus.
Wow.
So they know that we always have it, And so that's just, and God's grace, and so they love it, and we're excited. And yes, we definitely go out for the lost, people that don't walk with God, that don't know of God,
Beautiful.
And so,
Have you written a book about your story yet?
It's in my heart. I do
You
want to write
need to
one.
do it, because and it
Yeah.
either needs to be a chapter or something. When you said, "Why not me?" in a generation that it's always, "Why does this happen to me?" Or God, you
Yes.
must be bad because you sent this trial for me. The fact that you are, I can't tell you, just your attitude, because it's a whole attitude to say, "Why not me?" Like as in is an answer to. It's just a different way of reframing that, because so many people are either angry with God or offended at God because it's sort of like, "God, you could have stopped this," or "God, you could have healed my child," or
Right,
"God, you
right.
could have, stopped my husband from having an affair," or I could lost whatever it might be in life, and they're offended rather than, I just think your perspective just speaks to that in a whole different way, which is powerful. So I'm saying all that to say you've got to write the book. You've got to write the book.
You.
It's so
Thank
powerful.
You. Thank you. It's definitely in my heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
This is confirmation. All right, my friend. Well, I love you very dearly. Thank you for sharing both your heart and Abriana's story with us. It's so precious. Can't wait to meet her one day when I get to heaven. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
And
thank you so much.
Nick and I, we love you guys. We're so grateful for you in our lives.
We love you too. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to see you in Tijuana.
Okay, I love you, my friend.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Isn't Michelle amazing? I love being with her. I love her wisdom. I love her heart. I love her passion. And I love the way that she lives out her calling. So if you'd like to stay connected with her, you'll find all the details linked in the show notes. So thanks again for spending time with us today. I know that your time is the most valuable resource, and I am so grateful that you choose to spend it with us. So if you enjoyed this episode, would you just take a moment to rate it, leave a review, and share it with a friend? I'll see you right back here next week on the Life and Leadership Podcast.